Okay, welcome. We're just letting our schools in from the waiting room. It's so nice to see you all. Thank you for joining us. We have a few schools that are just hopping in. If you have a chance, I would love it if you could click on the 3 dots next to your picture and let me know where you're joining from. So your province or your city or your country. I know we have a couple international schools. Just click on those little 3 dots next to your picture and you can change your name. We're joined here in person. Oh, actually, I'm going to change. Would we be able to update the name on this one to include our UNESCO? We're here live from the CCUNESCO Youth Conference. So we are joined by a table of some students here that are going to be running the workshop, and we have a great presentation for everyone. Our presentation schedule doesn't line up exactly with our live schedule, so we will maybe be starting just about 5 minutes early with some of our kind of welcome and introduction stuff before we get to the meat of the presentation at 11:30. Do we? Yeah, we do have audio, but maybe I'll just pin this one really quickly. Could we really quickly, just for everybody that's on here, could I get a good morning, or what is it? Are we morning here? Let's just do hello. Can we all say a hello and a wave so everyone can see us? So 3, 2, 1. That was the most excited wave I've ever seen in my entire life. Guys, can we just keep the energy a little bit more down? That would be great. Awesome. Okay, thanks so much. So I am going to, oops, sorry, I did not know I was doing that. I'm going to start by doing a land acknowledgement. So I would like to acknowledge that we are all gathered on the ancestral lands of the Wendat, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Anishinaabeg Nation, which includes the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. As an act of reconciliation, we acknowledge the traditional Indigenous lands that we're on so that we can work towards improving our relationship with the environment and the diverse people who have served as protectors of those lands for time immemorial. I also want to acknowledge the Indigenous peoples of all the lands that we're joining from today, since we're on a virtual platform and we're joining from many different lands and territories that we each call home. Now, today's workshop is just going to be a step towards this very immense and important goal of reconciliation, and it's going to allow you all to plan a meaningful action in your community around reconciliation in its many different forms. Identifying, amplifying, and cherishing Indigenous beliefs, customs, and traditional ways of viewing the world is about more than just acknowledging that connection to a land. It can be expressed in youth action projects in many forms, from sustainability to 2S LGBTQ+ rights to mental health initiatives. So throughout your time here today, during our workshop and throughout the rest of the week that we're here, I want you to keep this in the forefront of your minds as you engage in those dialogues towards reconciliation across Turtle Island and around the world. Now, just to give all of our schools some time to join, I would like to welcome our virtual youth who is going to introduce herself and do a little bit of icebreaker warm-up questions for you all before we get started with the presentation.
All right, so hi, my name is Solace. I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and I go to Pembina Trails Collegiate. So today, like Rebecca said, I'll be leading you through the poll questions, and I'll do a little introduction on SDGs, about what they are and how they affect us. So time for the poll question. How many sustainable development goals are there? So you can answer them in chat.
And we're here in person. Does anybody here in person have an idea of how many SDGs there are? Nobody has a guess? What do you think? So I have one person in the room here with me that's guessing 17. Do we have any in the chat that have an idea?
Jill said 17 too.
Yeah, Jill thinks 17. What do we think? Do we agree with that? These are just little SDG experts. All right, let's see what we think, Solace.
Okay, so thank you guys so much for participating. Yes, it is 17. So SDGs, for people who don't know, it stands for Sustainable Development Goals. So these 17 goals were supported by the United Nations in 2015, and then they were created towards ending poverty, protecting the planet, and ensuring by 2030, all people globally have the equal opportunity to achieve peace and prosperity in their community. So SDGs are usually represented by Sustainable Development Goals chart. Now this chart, even though it might be formatted differently in certain ways, it lists all the SDGs it created to either achieve an environmental, economical, or social solution to a crisis happening in the world. So All the SDGs fall around these categories, and most of these SDGs, or all of them from 1 to 17, include no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation, and infrastructure, reduce inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate change, life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions, and partnerships for the goals. So all of these 17 SDGs are being worked on internationally in order to create a better world for the environment and the people. So in this UNESCO conference, each speaker will introduce to you an SDG and possible ideas that they were used so you can get inspired for your own projects. So thank you so much for listening to my presentation, and I hope you guys have a great time at the conference.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Solus. And we're so sorry that you weren't able to be here with us in person, but we appreciate that you were able to at least join us for this little section. So awesome. So in case anybody missed any of what she was saying, for these SDGs, you can see them on the cover of your booklet. And for our schools joining, I also sent your teachers a copy of the booklet. I can email it out again after this event is done. If you're like, I don't have a booklet, we'll send it to you also that you can print it off. All of those SDGs are listed. Now, action projects that we plan in our schools oftentimes cover pretty much every single SDG because they do overlap so much. But what we're going to do today is we're really going to try to focus and think about what is that SDG or those 2 to 3 SDGs that are the most important to me, and what action project can I do that will help me implement that SDG in my community. I think that's all I have to say. So I'm just going to switch my camera over here quickly and we will pass it over to our youth presenters. And they're just going to be sharing a little bit about how to plan these SDGs and some examples of some things that they're working on in their classrooms. So, all right, Annika, you're up first. Can I get you to stand up for your presentation so we're right in the camera? Perfect.
So my name is Annika Fuller. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm from West Kelowna, British Columbia at Mount Fisher Secondary School, which is on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Okanagan Silk people. So this is what the first page in your workbook should look like. First and second, sorry. So in the workbook, we will develop a plan, develop and plan an action project around one of them. So I'll be speaking about gender identity and supporting queer youth, and that aligns with the SDG. Okay, so here's my table of contents. Slide 1 being what is queer with the definition, slide 2, what is gender identity and the definition, and 3, how we can support queer youth, and 6 ways you can be an ally, and then the questions. Okay, so what is queer? Identifying as queer can mean a lot of things. People who are questioning their sexual gender identity, people who aren't heterosexual and or aren't cisgender, and some people identify as queer as a labeled classification. It's an umbrella term and can mean a lot of different things.
Oh, sorry, did that not go? There you go.
What is gender identity? So gender identity is the feeling of knowing who you are. And that's a very broad idea or term. And so it can be like whether the sex you were assigned at birth, meaning you're cisgender or not, transgender. And this relates to if you identify as male, non-binary, gender fluid, etc. And every person has a gender identity. A common misconception is that gender and pronouns are the same thing. So this is incorrect. So gender does not equal pronouns. They're completely separate terms. So let's go to the next slide.
I don't know why my button is not working. I'm just going to individually scroll over here and click next.
Okay, so here's what mine is. So my gender identity is I'm a cisgender woman with she with pronouns. And that will obviously change person to person. And here are a list of some of the genders there are, besides male and female, which we know. So 6 ways you can be an ally. So everyone knows queer youth. There's queer youth in the community, around you, all the time. So 6 ways that you can help them feel more comfortable in places they might not feel so comfortable. So first being educating yourself. learning about different identities is a great way to gain understanding and just feel make them feel more at ease if you know what they're talking about and how they identify and feel in the community. Number 2 is respecting pronouns. So when you meet someone, you can ask their pronouns and their preferred names. Sometimes people will have a little pronoun pin or say, hey, these are my pronouns today. These are my pronouns. So just asking is the best way to be respectful. Number 3 being listen. So listening to the stories of the LGBTQIA+ community is one of the best ways to gain trust and gain understanding, which is educating yourself. Back to number 1. And hearing them out can make you feel a lot more comfortable. And number 4 is speaking up. So this one is probably the most difficult one. But if you see anyone discriminating against the LGBTQAI+ community, you always want to speak up and stand up when they might not be able to. And that's like one of the main ways we can do that. So number 5 is sharing their stories. So a lot of times the LGBTQAI+ feel that their stories are being pushed down or like not brought up. So sharing the stories that your friends or you heard about that you were told can help them be heard and more involved in the community. And number 6, offering support. If someone's feeling uncomfortable, the best way is just to support them and say, hey, I'm here for you. I care about you and you are important to me. Okay, so action plan. So this is what I said. The first thing I thought about, what am I passionate about and how can I apply that to the community? So here's the little list. I was like pride, gender equality, comfortability of students, and queer youth stories. So if you guys want to write down in your booklets some of the things that like you thought about that you're passionate about, or you can somehow.
And you will notice in italics at the top, we did put a few different examples. So if one of those examples speaks to you, you're welcome to use that as well. And if you have more than one thing at this point, that's also fine. If you're not sure and you're like, oh, I'm into this as well, but I also like the environment, you can put a couple ideas down.
And then on the next page, what I thought about is like, what do I want to make happen? So I want queer youth to have the ability to share their stories. So I came up with my idea, which is rainbow reactions law. And then underneath, you can write a little summary about the project that you thought of. So in my project, I will design a bulletin board where queer students and allies can write their stories and pin the little post-it to the bulletin board. And then on the bulletin board, there'll be a little stack of stickers with like little hearts, little faces, whatever, and you can, other people can take the stickers and place them underneath, and it's like almost like commenting on a social media, and you're like showing them love for their story. Yeah, that's my idea. And so I'm sure you will all have great ideas as well. Thank you. Any questions about my presentation?
Yeah, so if any of our schools joining us on YouTube or on Zoom have questions as well, you're welcome to type them in the chat and we will ask questions or comments. If you just wanted to tell everyone they did a great job, we love hearing that too. I see you're getting a round of applause from someone on the Zoom, so that's nice to see. Anybody here as well, if you guys have any questions about this project, or if any of you have any 2S LGBTQ+ projects that you have worked on in your school in the past that you'd like to share, now is a great time to give some people some great ideas. So has anybody done anything similar in the past? For Pride Month last year, maybe.
And I would also love to hear any of the stories if any of you would like to come up to me after and like, hey, this is what I did during Pride Month, or this is what I plan to do. I would love to hear them and like bounce some ideas back and forth. Yeah, Jill says, great job. Thank you, Jill. Thank you. Or yeah, in the chat too. If anyone has
Don't be shy. Just one person have one project, one cool thing. We've got a shy group. All right. If you think of a question, you guys can always say it later. So for right now, again, if you just have a few different ideas, you can pop them down. You can come back and cross them off later, but it'd be great if we could ever get everyone to try to write at least one thing in their booklet before we move on to our next one. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Yeah, you just stand right there. Yeah.
So, hi, my name is CCUNESCO and I'm from St. John High School. If everyone can just flip to this page, and I'll show my own example of what I would do here. So my presentation will be on the eco-friendly home and how sustainability can be beautiful. This presentation relates to the SDG 11, which states to make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. So before I start on and explain what we could do, I would like to give an example of Laurie Baker. So Laurie Baker is a British-born Indian architect, and he introduces eco-friendly architecture in his buildings. So the way he does this is by incorporating nature and plants. So this overall just improves the air quality in the buildings and boosts mental and emotional health. Many of the buildings make use of natural lighting instead of using LED like fluorescent bulbs and stuff, which reduces overall energy consumption and is just better for the planet. Many of his buildings are in places where drought and water is scarce, so rainwater harvesting is a common practice seen. The buildings itself are built in a way that there's a self-cooling flow of air throughout it, so there's no need for any air conditioner and stuff like that, which also reduces energy consumption. And all the buildings are made using locally sourced building materials, which is it uses less energy to transport the materials. So why is this important? So having the eco-friendly home, it reduces energy consumption and pollution that's going into the environment. It increases energy security, so not much worried about that. And it overall does save you money. It supports sustainability, so being able to meet our own needs without compromising the needs of future generations. And it's a great example that sustainability can be beautiful and can easily be implemented in your daily life. One quote that I found that represents this is that if design is to act like nature, it should take our breath away, by Lance Lindsay in his book, The Shape of Green. So what can we do? So this can be implemented either in schools or even in your own homes, just optimizing the use of natural lighting, using that, keeping the windows open instead of having to use lighting. Consider using energy efficient appliances, so doing research on that and seeing what would be the best option for you. Or even better, for example, instead of using the dryer during summer months, instead hang your clothes out to dry. That's always a better option, and take advantage of the natural sun. If possible, choosing sustainable materials for furniture and decor. So looking locally and seeing people who make handmade decor is possibly better than going to, I don't know, a store which would transport it from long distances. Consider using solar energy. This is something you can actually go to your school board and see if that's actually an option. And my personal favorite one is planting a garden, because it can be you can just plant one thing and it's a good step. It's a step in the right direction. So this is what I would do if I was filling it out. So I listed the 5 different goals here. So what the examples are: building a raised bed and begin planting produce and stuff like that. Goal 2, try to set up a gardening club at school. Again, you'd have to talk to school administrators. So that's what I listed here. During sunny days, hang your clothes out to dry instead of using a dryer, which is mentioned before. Using heat pumps instead of baseboard heaters, which is less energy consuming, or better yet, just putting on a sweater on when it's really cold. And consider composting scrap food waste, which is great because you can then use it in the garden. And these are some people that I just mentioned. These are just teachers in my own school that and like people I could possibly go to. My school personally has a school conservation team, so that's something I'm interested in getting being a part of soon. And yeah, and here's some examples. You can go to teachers, Board of Education. Thanks for listening. Are there any questions?
I'm actually just going to put this one back up so we can see it as an example. I wanted to share an example that one of our decarbonized schools has actually done that is similar to this. They did a fundraiser as a group by selling plants. And then with the money that they raised, they actually bought solar panels to put on the roof of their school to help offset the cost of electricity in their school. So a lot of this stuff seems like it's only things that maybe you can do in your home, but all of you could go back to your schools and fundraise to put some solar panels. As well, we had, I think our schools in India were doing it district-wide, solar panels on all of the schools. And I see there's a comment here. Sorry, I don't want to cover our screen, from Bayaji. And they're saying, so green architecture, Indonesia is actually implementing this idea in the designs of the new capital city of Kalimantan. I hope I said that right. And they said, awesome presentation. So that's so cool to see a country that's doing it kind of countrywide. Does anybody else have any examples of green, sustainable projects that have been happening in their community or school or country. I see one from Jill that's saying that St. John, New Brunswick plants marigolds all over the city. And that idea of gardening is so great because that's your teacher. Nice. It's good because it's like, it's great for pollinators, right? It helps with biodiversity. If you plant food, it can help offset that carbon footprint of getting food brought to you. So the gardening is a great example. Do any of you guys have any examples? Okay, pack it in, pack it out so you don't get to throw garbage out at school. I feel like that the good thing about that is like you would think people would still make the garbage and bring it home, but they probably don't because you don't want to pack it out. So you're really thinking about what garbage you're bringing into the school. That's a really cool project. I like that a lot.
Does anyone still have a garden?
Oh, we've got a few gardens.
A garden for okay.
Cool. That's awesome. This, I know we work with a school in Lacombe, Alberta, and they produce food for local restaurants. And the school actually makes money, so the students who take care of the greenhouse then it sort of feeds itself in terms of its funding.
Mm-hmm. Any others? Does anybody have school infrastructure? How many of us here have solar panels at their school? Oh my gosh, I just made an action project for everybody in this room. That's so funny. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. If you want, Maggie, when you come up, can I get you guys just to shuffle down so we're not awkwardly sitting behind her during her presentation?
I think that's the strategy.
The shuffle.
It works out well.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Maggie. I'm from St. John, New Brunswick, and I go to Simons High School. My pronouns are she, her. So first off, I want you guys to turn on to your staying on track part of the booklet. So for this, basically, you set a calendar. So you pick a goal and then lay out a timeline as to what you need to do based off of 2 weeks, 2 months, throughout the entire year. So I'm doing women's rights, and this falls under SDG 10, reduced inequality. So, brief introduction. The fight for women's rights has been a long and difficult battle fought across generations of women, yet there are so many unheard stories from those that fought for the rights we achieved over decades of discrimination and sexism. Today we'll be discussing the unknown heroes whose stories have made the biggest impacts and how it wraps into sustainability.
So leggy.
So these are 3 actual Canadian women that a lot of people really haven't heard of who made a big impact. So we have Emily Murphy, Gillian McClung, and Autumn Peltier, who's actually a part of our generation and is one of the newest voices in sustainability. So Emily Murphy was a writer, journalist, magistrate, political, and legal reformer. She was the first woman magistrate in the British Empire. She was also one of the famous 5 behind the Persons case, the successful campaign to have women declared persons in the eyes of British law. She was an outspoken feminist and suffragist and a controversial figure. Her views on immigration and eugenics have been criticized as racist and elitist. She was named a Person of National Historic Significance in 1958 and an honorary senator in 2009. Nellie McClung was a suffragist, reformer legislator, and author. She was also a women's rights activist, legislator, and author who is perhaps best known for involvement in Persons case, just like Emily Murphy. She played a leading role in the 1914 Liberal campaign against St. Robin's conservative government, which had refused women's suffrage. She gained wide prominence from addresses in Britain at the Methodist Ecumenical Conference and elsewhere, and from speaking tours throughout Canada and the United States, and was a Liberal MLA for Edmonton from 1921 to 1926. She was also a part of the famous 5. As for Autumn Peltier, she is an Anishinaabe, a water rights advocate, and an Anishinaabe Nation Chief Water Commissioner. Autumn Peltier is also a world-renowned water rights advocate and a leading global youth environmental activist. In April 2019, Peltier was appointed Chief Water Commissioner by the Anishinaabe Nation and has spoken about the issue of contaminated water on Indigenous reserves in Canada at the United Nations. For her activism, Peltier was nominated for the International Children's Peace Prize in 2017, 2018, and 2019.
I don't know. Okay, one moment. We're having technical difficulties. Maybe if
I have them in my notes.
let me see. I might need to refresh it.
Yeah, they are.
We'll see. The internet's a little slow. Is
There
this
we
right?
go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back to it, folks.
So you're probably wondering, what does women's rights have to do with sustainability? So let me answer that for you. So only by ensuring the rights of women and girls across all of the goals will we get to justice and inclusion, economies that work for all, and sustaining and shared environment now and for future generations. And not to forget the countless female climate change activists such as Anna Peltier, who we discussed a few minutes ago, and others such as Alice Beatty, Leah Thomas, and Dr. Jennifer Holmgren, plus many more, as well as Greta Thunberg, who you may all know already. Women have done precious work for our world behind the scenes for centuries, but now it's time to acknowledge that women can be the ones to save our planet, and they need their rights in order to achieve that goal. Women are the future, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I like that. We'll do this first.
So for our staying on track, so an example for one of my goals is I would really like to organize a women's rights summit in St. John. They do a lot of anti-racism summits and mental health ones. So in order to do this, I put down in my goal a women's rights summit. For immediate action, so things that would take 1 to 2 weeks, I would find people that would be willing to participate, perhaps place that would be willing to host and fund. Short term for 1 to 2 months would possibly be, getting registration forms, planning all the things we would need for the event, finding keynote speakers. And long term for me personally, I would like to find a way to make it an annual thing, something that happens yearly.
Perfect. Yeah. We can give her another round of applause. Hey, and I see your teacher's very excited. She said you're making her proud and that she's definitely going to be there. Okay, do we have any questions for Maggie on her goal, women's rights, or does anybody have any sort of gender equality actions that they've seen happen in their community or school that they would like to share as some inspiration? I find I don't see a lot of like Women's Day events happen at schools. It's not like a common thing that you see very often. Yeah. Okay. That's really nice. So in case anybody online didn't hear it, she said they made a display case for Women's Month, and then they also collected things like feminine hygiene products and makeup to bring down to the local women's shelter.
And you guys can do something as simple as like a Women's Day march. I was in Italy recently and I was there during International Women's Day, and they had organized this huge march. Like, I mean, thousands of women marching for their rights. It was really amazing.
That's very cool. Yep.
Feminine hygiene is not feminine, and not everyone identifies as a woman.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So sorry for anybody that didn't hear the term feminine hygiene, yes, is genderist, I guess would be the way to say it. So yes, that's a good point. Thank you. Other thoughts, ideas about women's rights, gender rights? Awesome. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, now the chair shuffle. Oh, also, I would like to say there was one more question on here. When are you running for politics? Because you're amazing. Oh, we don't need to talk about who is commenting what. All right, whenever you're ready, Delaney.
Hi, everybody. My name is Delaney Newcomb. I'm Soberton Bushry Secondary School in West Kelowna, BC, which is on the traditional, unceded, and ancestral territory of the Silesian people. So if you could please all flip to this page of your book, we're going to talk about getting the word out, which is something that I've struggled quite a lot to have a lot of experience with. So for my topic, I'm going to talk about youth mental health and the importance of finding support in your community. Did you know that 1 in 5 Canadians face mental health or mental illness related symptoms each year, with 70% of those experiencing symptoms before the age of 18. Adolescence is the most formative period, and that is why we need to understand the resources that are available to you before they accelerate in your later years. So it's important to distinguish that mental health and mental illness are 2 different things. Mental health is a state of well-being and includes emotional, psychological, and social well-being. and influences behavior and perception. Mental illness is a mental, behavioral, or emotional disorder resulting in serious functional impairment and distress. So when you're looking for support in your community, it is important that you know that there's lots of different options available to you. The best and easiest way is to go through your school. You can talk to adults, your teachers, or guidance counselors. They will know programs that are available to you. You can also go to your family doctor or walk-in clinic. This will provide you direct access to resources and support. Or you can find local organizations and programs offered through health offices and private facilities. So this, an example of this in British Columbia is Boundary, BC. They have multiple locations and it's really exciting. They're opening like 18 new locations in BC. It's a branch of the Canadian Mental Health Association directly for youth aged 12 to 24. They offer programs and even provide peer support. So if you are someone that your friend relies on as support, they offer programs for you, not just your friends. So a little bit more about Boundary. I put on an event for our local Boundary Kelowna. It was called the Walk for Mental Health. It was a 5-kilometer walk through our community with pledge-based donations, t-shirt sales, and community donations. Something really cool is we managed to raise $6,438. We also have a guest presentation from CJ LeBlanc, who's the manager of Boundary Kelowna. And then this is our school walking. You can't really tell, but they're way off in the distance. Our school is nearly 2,000 people, so there's a lot of people out walking in the community. We had staff for students volleyball games. We had our WFN, which is our West Bank First Nations, in attendance. And it was all a really great day where we were able to have students come in and actually talk to the boundaries, see what programs were available, and just kind of bring the community together and show our support of mental health. So, getting the word out, I have some examples here. On the left is some articles that we did for the event. Because it was open to community, we wanted to be able to kind of advertise beforehand. So those we did about 2 weeks in advance. And I really recommend if you are putting on a bigger event, doing these articles because it's a great way to kind of share it outside of your school. And then over on the right is a poster that we've designed for this year's event. Super simple. We have that up on our social media page. It'll be out in the community, posted in some businesses once I get and so some examples here that you can kind of copy. Some ways to get out is news articles, as I said, presentations, social media posting, including videos, photos, posters, and reels on TikTok. But I find that each event kind of has its own needs, so not all of that is obviously going to work for you and for your event. But when you are planning or communicating, a great way to kind of get those out is to separate it per person. So obviously you don't want to take on all of it yourself. So if you have, say, a social media team and you're posting on Instagram, and they do that every Monday and Thursday, then you have consistency and you have some like differentiation between that and say putting posters up through the school, and you might have someone else that makes those and puts those up. So yeah, that's my presentation. Thank you for this.
I would also like to remind our friends on Zoom and YouTube, if you have questions, you're welcome to type them in the chat. We'll share them. You got a good job from one of our friends here on Zoom. Any questions about it?
Like, what inspired you to work on mental health?
So I had some personal, like just with friends, kind of understanding that mental health is really important, and also not knowing that like resources are available in the community. Like I didn't know about Boundary until I started planning for this and decided on supporting that organization. So to know that there was resources available that I could offer to friends or that I could go seek if I needed help myself was just really important to me.
I would like to say my comment is I love the idea of a walk for mental health, because sometimes people will do like a walk for whatever other thing they're fundraising for, but going outside and walking in nature is good for your mental health. So it's like you're raising money for mental health and hopefully actually helped everyone's mental health that was there. So like, I think that's such a cool idea.
And the event was all day, so it kind of, everyone loved the idea that we were all getting out of class and taking a break from like finals and midterms and whatever, and just.
Yep, that's awesome.
It sounds like it was recently, but I missed that.
It was last May, and we're working on another one in 1 month. Yeah. Yeah.
I also want to tell everyone who's working on their booklets, if at any point one of our presenters like presents a new idea and you're like, oh, I actually want it, you are welcome to go back. Like you're allowed to flip back and forth in your booklets. If now you're like, maybe I want to plan a mental health walk. They raised $6,000 for local mental health groups. So yeah. Any other last questions or comments for her? All right, cool. Thank you so much.
Alrighty. Hi, my name is Jaden Stead, and I'm also from Mount Boucher Secondary School in West Kelowna, British Columbia, which is on the ancestral, traditional, and unceded territory of the Okanagan Siouxs people. If you want to turn to our Bring It All Together page in our workbooks. Now that we have a plan of what we kind of want to do, we're going to take it into action and plan out through the months in our school and what we're going to do in each month and how we're going to share our story. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about intercultural studies, a better understanding of the world around us and its people, and this relates with the SDG 10. Alrighty, so Canada is a growing multicultural society and is often referred to as a cultural mosaic. Whether you know it or not, culture affects you in many ways. So people with an enhanced worldview that can understand why a culture is acting one way from another and can recognize their own personal bias will help to create more positive global encounters. Understanding the complexity of culture and self-identity will lead to a better understanding of the world and its people and help you to apply it to your everyday life. How our culture can affect us. Have you ever been told that you act or sound like a parent or a friend? This is because you learn and pick up on things you see around you right from a young age. This can also be seen through your culture. People around the world behave in many different ways, and this can come to a shock, can cause you to be in shock and not really understand why they're acting in a way that's different from you. This is why it's important to recognize that not everyone shares the same way of thinking as you do. And so being able to put yourself in their shoes and understand where they're coming from is really important, as well as being able to recognize your thinking and how your culture has affected your way of thinking. So there are lots of different courses that are offered that surround this way of learning. One of our courses at our school is Global Intercultural Studies, where we look at different cultural dimensions and how they affect cultures and how we can change our thinking to be more broadened so we can bring in other ways of thinking and understand. This is an example of a set of cultural dimensions by Gerrit Hofstede. He was a Dutch psychologist who came up with these 6 dimensions that allow us to place cultures on a scale and compare them. Now, while this is not an entirely accurate depiction of all people and cultures, because not everyone is the same, we can use this as a broad scape to allow us to better understand cultures and how they affect people's mannerisms and behaviors. For an example, long-term versus short-term orientation. So low-scoring cultures on this dimension focus on short-term gains and fast results, and they accept more risk. High-scoring cultures focus on long-term development and are more patient. So if we compare Canada and Japan, Canada scores a 54 and Japan scores a 100. So Canada is somewhere in the middle of using both, whereas Japan focuses on long-term development. So we can see how they aren't really the same and how people will react to different things differently.
Yeah. Okay.
I encourage all of you to dive deeper and investigate further into this topic because it may seem really broad and it may be hard to understand, but the more you look into it, it really will help how you see the world and your perspective on the people around you. And so,
Sorry.
all good.
You keep going.
For more information, talk to your counselor, talk to your school district, see if there are courses that you can take. One of the teachers who came here with us, Mr. Smith, he runs the course in our school, and we are just trying to get more people to take it because it's so good, and we're working with our school, District 4, to implement it into more of the schools. I actually talked at one of our school board district meetings earlier last year about the course, and we kind of introduced it and how it's going. Use your research to find more, like Google, social media, and the news. One of our universities in Victoria, UVic, they offer a really great program with intercultural studies. You can also reach out to me. My email is up there. And yeah, so that's kind of that. Now we're going to talk about your chart. So when we're planning a year of things, I like to try to implement not only your SDG that you're focusing on, but try to implement that into events that you've already been running throughout your school. So this year in our school, our theme is Passport to Your World. We chose this theme because we were recently recognized as a UNESCO school. So we wanted to bring that into our school and make it known to all the kids that we were recognized. We also have a very high population of international students at our school that we run lots of events with. So for example, our Harmony Day in School District SD23 is in the fall. And we put on an event where our international students created presentations about their cultures and shared it in our MPR, so our Canadians walk through and learn more about their cultures. I think that's really important that we have that we can share between cultures about your thing, so that not only the international students are learning from the Canadian schools, but we're also learning from them. We also decorated our school, so we had our leadership students decorate the hallways with different monuments from around the world, food, sayings. We also hung flags in our MPR from various different countries, and as well as our UNESCO flag. And I think just bringing that into already events that you've already run is a great way to share it, like creating fundraisers and stuff like that. So yeah, and that is my presentation. Any questions?
Oh, it's comments. Has anybody done anything similar in their schools? Does anybody have any kind of like cultural day in any of your schools? And what kind of stuff do you guys do at yours?
We have like a culture day. Everyone like dresses up as a culture. Some people just like, like not many people like care about it as like we want them to, because like we want to like culture, but
Yeah, so maybe finding some sort of project where you can get people more excited about the culture day would be very cool. Anybody else? Yeah.
I was just wondering, how did you build so much engagement?
Sorry, just to repeat it for our people online, the question was, how did she build so much engagement for it?
So our international education department, those teachers, they're really into our school community, and they advertise it, but they also get teachers to sign up, and we did it throughout the school day. So you would come, there was a little project for you to fill out. We kind of use that as a tool to help.
Good tip. The others? Yep.
Just if like I wanted to start something at my school, what do you think would be the best way to help others get engaged? Yeah, so I think like throughout all the plans, just trying to create a solid plan, get people who want to help you, talk to your teachers about using that. And I think it's just kind of starting small and just building it up. We're doing that now with especially with our school spirit. We're trying to build it up by starting with small little projects and then building it up to getting those bigger projects where the whole school can be really involved.
around it.
Yeah, getting a few passionate students that are interested in it, and then they find their friends, and then they find their friends, and that's how you get people involved. It's a great thing about peer pressure in a positive way. Any other questions or comments on this one? Is that a hand? Oh no. Okay. Yes.
My school did, what I thought was really cool, my school did a cultural fashion show. It was, so everyone would like dress in their own like cultural clothing and they would walk out in their own cultural like songs and stuff. And it built like a lot of excitement from everyone in the school because everyone was excited to see that. And it was just really cool.
And I also think too, like an event like that, I think sometimes students don't realize how diverse the cultures are in their school until they see all of those things that come out. Something that was brought up in our last session that we did, they were talking about different ways of expressing yourself in school, and we were discussing school uniforms. Does anybody here have school uniforms at their school? None of us, hey? Partially? Yeah. Do you have t-shirts?
So my school is part sports academy, so we have a sports group, and so it's like we each have to wear.
Yeah, that kind of counts. Yeah, and it's like very interesting because some people said they liked uniforms because it lowers like kind of that negativity that people can have towards each other's clothes and kind of reduces that need to buy fast fashion. But then it was brought up the point of, well, then you remove any of that cultural identity that somebody can share in their clothes. So it's like the positives and negatives of that. So I don't know how I feel about uniforms. I thought I was okay with them, but now I'm like, maybe I want people to be able to dress in a cool way at school. Wendy's saying in Trinidad and Tobago, students use uniforms. So yes, I have noticed that on our calls before. So we have a school in Trinidad that's joining us today, and they wear school uniforms. Wendy, can I ask you, if you have a student that's willing to share on camera, they are welcome to, or if you can tell me what they're thinking, how do they feel about school uniforms? Do your students like them or dislike them?
Ethan and Christian, can you all share? But today is a public holiday, so everyone is at home. So let me ask them if they will be able to share. Ethan or Christian, the others are on YouTube.
All right. Hi, morning or good afternoon for wherever you are. I personally don't have a problem with the school uniform because it's not like I have to go and plan out what I'm wearing for the week. It's just go and grab it, iron it, and head to school.
It's interesting. Doesn't have to plan. It is kind of one less thing for a teenager to have to worry about. You guys have a lot of tests and stuff. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you so much. So I have a couple of things I want to chat about quickly. While I'm presenting these couple of things for everyone, I do just want to give everybody a warning. We do have about 10-ish minutes left. So what we're going to do with our last few minutes is I'm going to call on maybe about 3 or 4 of you just to come over here, just so we can hear you better. You don't have to go in front of the camera if you don't want to, but to share what you're thinking your plan for your action project can be. Doesn't have to be totally planned out, but just so we get a bit of an idea of some more different projects that we're thinking about around the table here. So while I do my couple reminders, take a minute to make sure you guys have your ideas down, and we'll call on a couple of you to share. My first reminder, anybody that's joining us on our Zoom and our YouTube, if you haven't done so already, people in here as well, don't forget to sign up for our newsletter. So if the people in the room here today are like, I want to present at these events, I want to be in the YAC, sign up for our newsletter. That's how you get in on those events. If you want to do a meeting with our friends in Trinidad and get more insight into what the culture in Trinidad is like, sign up for our newsletter. That's how you do stuff like that. So I'll leave that one up there for just a moment. And I also have a cool opportunity I wanted to share with everyone. So we're planning our youth action projects here today, and we have this great grant that anybody can apply for in Canada. Is it coming up? Okay. Oh, it's just not coming up for these guys. Hold on, let me slide it over.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. So this grant is for, what is it, $2,500? $1,500. And it's for any Canadian youth. So would you be able to pop the link in the chat? And anybody in the room here today, if you were like, yes, I do want that, tell me more. We can give you more information after this. Maybe I'll show you guys the poster, might be a little bit nicer. So you just need to be 13 to 19 in grades 9 to 12, passionate about healthy living, and you can get money to help implement that grant. So if yours is kind of any health related things, you can get money for that.
So if you're doing something around climate change, you can link that to climate anxiety, and that counts, right? And so it's how can we look at issues that are happening in our school and how they impact us in a health sense. So even even something like fast fashion, it can have a health element. So don't rule yourself out. This is $1,500. It's available now. It's really, they want to get this money to students to do these projects. So if you have an idea, we can help you. If you don't know how to link it to health, just reach out to us because we know how.
We can link
But
anything.
it's $1,500 that you could use now for a project now in your school. It's amazing to fund something that you're passionate about or that you see as a need in your school or with your friends. It doesn't, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so again, if you're interested in that, we can share with you the link afterwards, and it is popped in the chat there as well for those of us that are joining us online. Now, we only have a couple of minutes left, so I would love to hear, I don't want to have to call on somebody. So if I have a volunteer who thinks they have a good example of a youth action project that they're planning in their booklets, or if it's one that your school has done before, that works too, and they'd be willing to share it with the room, I would love to hear a couple more examples of some things that our schools are doing. Someone be brave. Yes, could I get you to come sit over here to say it just so we can hear you well on the camera? Did you want to be on camera? That's nice. And if you could introduce yourself and let us know where you're from first. You can come, you can sit.
Okay. I'm Lorelai. I'm from Ecolds Olds High School. And our school does like a diversity day where we get a bunch of like keynote speakers. They come share different cultures that they're from, and we learn about different practices and we learn different experiences. And last year I wasn't able to make it, but like a couple of months ago, I think, we had someone come in who their first language was sign language, and they sang songs, and we learned about Sikh culture, and we just had a bunch of people come in.
It's very cool. I have a question for you, because one thing that was brought up earlier was like sometimes kids don't get super invested in these diversity days. How was it received at your school?
Not well.
Same thing, same issue. So I don't know if does anybody have any ideas of like ways that you can get people excited about diversity days? Yeah.
So if you have a survey for students that you force them to take, it will engage them more and like make them have choices on like you have different choices of activities for the day, whatever is most popular, instead of having representatives choose for people.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Then the students are choosing the activities that they're doing for the day, so they feel like ownership over them, almost like I picked this, so I should be doing it. That's a great idea. So in case anybody didn't hear, a survey that every student has to fill in of what they want to see at diversity day. That's a great idea. Do we have any other thoughts or ideas? I know that I like the idea of like planning and implementing throughout the year, so it's always on people's minds and not just like a tomorrow wear this to school. Like that can help a little bit as well.
And I like that your school had the teacher versus student volleyball. Like if you can involve that sort of competition somehow.
Competition.
Or food somehow. That's awesome.
Thank you for being so brave and sharing with us. We appreciate it. Thank you.
And different students from different cultures in our school, they come and they bring food from their culture, and then we have performers, and it's like a community event, so not just students can go, like it's a free event, everyone comes. It's really popular.
I love that. Food makes people happy. That's a great way to do it. Okay, I would like to call on one more, or possibly if any of our friends from Queen's Royal College, or I think I have a friend from Indonesia on here. If you have any school action projects that you guys have, yes, I see you. Do we have any action projects? It can be environment related, equity related. Do we have any that any of you would like to share as an inspiration for action projects that these guys can do in their schools?
Or even our SME school on YouTube, any of our schools on YouTube who want to share in the chat, that would be great. Yes. Looks like someone's volunteering themselves.
Okay, awesome. Are you? Yeah, yes, of course. Yeah, you can unmute. Here, I can. Oh, I guess you guys.
First of all, hello everyone. Hi everyone.
He can see
Good.
you.
Good morning there. It's already late at night here in Indonesia. So first of all, I'd like to introduce myself. Hello, my name is Bayu Aji Alganistanto, and I'm from Indonesia. My school's name is SMA Negeri 1 Bojonggede. And one of the plan for my school not really my school, but our community. So I have this community in school that is planning to create a forum, basically. So a community which future aspiring leaders gather all together and advocate for the betterment of lives. For example, telling people about stunting, so bringing awareness and acting upon. Sorry, my battery's low, but yeah. The thing is, so we just go around other schools, and advocate for rights, for environment, for health, and etc. And this project is called Genro, or Generasi Remaja. Or also there's this project called Big R, which translates to the, what is it called? Gatherment of information for adolescents. So basically, for all youths in Indonesia, we all gather together, we all discuss critical consensuses and critical issues of the world, also in Indonesia, and just propose our plannings, our own ideas, what we think could tackle all of these issues, all of this underlying consensus, all of these impediments that we are facing as youths and also as a nation together. So
Such a
that's one of the
idea.
things that, yeah.
Yeah.
So to improve our critical thinking and our speaking and our confidence in
It
ourselves.
sounds
But
like youth in this room would be very interested in something similar to what you guys are doing.
yeah, but the thing is, not everyone could actually participate in this because, to be honest, to be quite frank, and I am ashamed to say this, but in Indonesia, not everyone is aware.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, I think that's similar here. I do. Oh yeah, easily even. Wendy, I see you turned your camera on. Was there an action project you wanted to share about before we let our kids go? We only have 3 minutes here.
Okay.
Or I think you guys did that beach cleanup last year for
Yeah, we have another one national this year. UNESCO, the National Commission for UNESCO, they are planning a national beach cleanup, and it's going to be next month. And so we try to stay at the level of simplicity, keeping it simple and real, what we can accomplish.
Yeah.
So we are going once again. We have to fill out the forms and so on with the students. Ethan was unable to go last year because the weather was too much rain.
Yeah.
So this year we brought it up to May because June we have a lot of torrential showers. So we will go again this year, and we're starting there, and we are maintaining our recycling projects. We have moved on with simply collecting the bottles, and we are entering into a competition where we have to create a product from the bottles that we collected.
Love that.
So they're going to be giving us the molds.
Very
so
cool.
when we reach to that stage, we can share some pictures and some videos. But
Awesome.
right now we are just collecting along with the environmental club at school. So they are doing the collecting, and I'm going to be pushing the molding of the plastics into something that students need to conceptualize.
Another cool idea for anyone that wants to do an environmental project is actually making something out of the things that you collect. If you do a group walk and a beach cleanup or a park cleanup, you can actually make something, art. Yeah, you can make things out of that. Make blankets out of plastic bags. Yes, and the mats that you can sleep on to keep people warm. Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing. Thank you for both of you for sharing. Our group here is already 5 minutes over. They have to go eat lunch. I wanted to once more, if we could all give a round of applause to our wonderful presenters and sharers today. Thank you so much for doing that. And we love to hear about the projects that you are working on. So make sure that you share them with us when they get done. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you, Esme, for joining us on YouTube. It's so nice to see you all, and have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks. Bye. Thank you, Biagi. Thank you.